I'm Suzanne Ryman, and this is my last of the series for February. So I won't get to see you again for a few months, but this is probably my favorite thing to talk on, fitness. At any age, but specifically after 50, as I move through the ages, it becomes more and more critical that we really think about, how do we reinvent every decade? How do we think about how fitness can be still part of our life and part of our priorities? And so what I really hope to send you off with today is some enthusiasm, some inspiration, and hopefully some guidance on how to really make exercise and fitness in your top priority. So, as far as the daily activities of daily living, I'd like that to be number 3. Whatever the top 2 might be, is specific for you. But I just feel like we will age so much better, and really more than that, even enjoy life so much better if we commit to some exercise. So let's get going. This is a little lady that I hope will be a good introduction to inspire you.
I started with one push-up, and every day I would add a push-up. If I couldn't add a push-up, I'd do the numbers that I'd done the day before.
It's crazy that you're 72 and you're totally jacked. You got like veins coming out of your arm. You can do push-ups all day. And on Instagram, you're sharing these videos of you doing your exercise routine.
To be able to share that and let people know that, man, part of the whole self-loving thing is to be a part of all of this, to be able to move. I just love movement. I love knowing that I can move. I love that.
And it's very inspiring and it's very empowering, like reframing how we think about aging.
But I tell people that, I tell women that, with one push-up. Start with one, inch by inch.
Wow. One push-up. Right? One push-up. That's what it takes. So, thinking about where we start. And when we think about our heart, the most probably important muscle of the body. Think about some of these statistics. 100,000 beats in a day, 35 million in a year. The heart uses so much energy to pump. Even at rest, your heart works 2 times as hard as leg muscles of a sprinter. Feel your pulse. Blood starting and stopping in your arteries, the lub-dub of the heart pump. As a kid, 90 to 120 beats per minute. As an adult, it slows to 72. Why? Because it gets stronger. It becomes a more powerful pump as we use it. The aorta, which is the main artery that feeds our body directly from the heart, is the size of a garden hose. Your body has 5.6 liters, so almost 6 quarts of blood, and it circulates through the body 3 times every minute. Isn't that just mind-boggling? In one day, your blood travels 12,000 miles. That's 4 times the distance across the U.S. The heart pumps 1 million barrels of blood in an average lifetime. That's enough to fill more than 3 super tankers. I just want that to be an awe-inspiring idea. And how many times do we think of our heart pumping? Not much, right? Don't think about it. It just does it. And so I love the fact that our heart is an amazing tool. So what I want us to think about is how can we build our machine? And of course, the heart does it without thinking. From a little kid to an adult, it gets stronger because we use it. So what causes muscles to grow, again, is an external stimulus, aka exercise. And then what that exercise does is it causes those tissues to go, wait, what I have on board isn't quite enough. She's pushing me hard enough that now I have to rebuild and change my machine. So just like that heart, as the body gets bigger, the heart has to work harder, and it makes it a more effective pump. So just like our muscles, they have to rebuild. And of course, they have to have some building blocks to rebuild. So it makes what we eat absolutely profoundly important. And over the last 3 times I've been with you, hopefully I've inspired you to think about what it is you're eating. We learned that the recommendations for protein doubled. We learned that vegetables and fruits are always part of whatever pyramid you look at. That doesn't change. And I think that's really powerful, because you'll see in some of the people that we follow today, you can make up your own eating style. Listen to your body, learn about cause and effect, exercise, so the external stimulus and the fuel that we put in it, and watch the results. So if what you're eating now is building your current body, you could decide to make a change to rebuild a new body. The other thing that's super important is repair time, so AKA sleep. I also talked about that when we learned about the intermittent fasting and how timing of meals is super important, but the other balance in that scale of priority is also enough sleep in order to let that body rebuild. And we all appreciate how important sleep is, especially when you don't get good sleep. And so part of the beauty of exercise is it does, in fact, improve sleep. So it's a win-win all the way around. So here is my friend Marilyn.
This is Marilyn Market. At 77, she's
What? Why is it not showing?
She lives by one clear mark. Go and do it. Just do it.
All right, let me try one more time, because she is so good. Let me see if I can make it work. She's there, but why is it not showing my video? All right, well, we'll come back to her. Let me see if I can get it to play. It's okay. I'll show you it afterwards. Yeah, you're gonna love her too. Why is it not going back? It's not showing my little arrow.
This is Marilyn Market.
Can you see her? No. All right. I'll give up.
And she lives by one clear mark.
So let's go with training with Joan. So this is a lady. Has anybody heard of her? She is remarkable. So these two ladies, there's actually four that I'm going to show you this morning, but Train with Joan is an amazing lady, because she has so many comorbidities. You can see there in the picture on the right, she has diabetes. She, of course, had obesity. She had arthritis. She had high blood pressure. And she obviously had obesity. Her daughter is, I guess, a well-known personal trainer, and said, "Mom, you've got two choices. You can keep doing what you're doing and die before you see your grandkids, or you can make some changes that I will guide you all along the way." And so she decided that with some consistency, determination, positive mindset, counting your macros, and positive influencers. So write those down. Consistency, determination, a positive mindset. You will see that in all of the ladies that I show you today, is really being positive. Not, "Oh, I can't do it. I'm going to give up. Forget it. It hurt too much." Find something to think positive about your exercise, because consistency is what it's going to take. And then, of course, the people that you have around you are really powerful as well. So here she is with her daughter, the coach. And so she's on YouTube and Instagram, and she is still active today, but she started when she was 70. And she shows examples. She takes you through her day as far as, what she ate, what did her exercise regimen look like. And one of the biggest challenges for her was learning how to work all the apps. So you'll see that in a minute. But look at this lady's shoulders, and it's hard to believe that she was able to get there, right? She is, yeah. And, not all pictures are going to be that perfect. So don't forget, there's ways to pose. There's, great photography, but she's got some muscles. So let's talk a little bit about that external stimulus. Having a good support system is so important. When I ran the HEB Slim Down Showdown, we became a great support system for these 10 people that went through all the education. They learned how to eat, they learned how to cook, they learned how to exercise, and it was so powerful during the program. But when they went back home, guess what? That support system started to change, and it was very hard for them to keep that going. So not only do you need a good support system, but you need a sound plan. What are you going to do? And what are you going to eat? You've got to learn how to track it, because really tracking it helps you to now look at, well, what I did yesterday and the day before and last week is forming where I am today. And granted, there's a little more to it than just exercise and food and sleep. Of course, there's medicines and there's, lots of things. But if we focus on the things that we can control, that's at least 75% of it. So evaluating the change, and all along finding joy in the movement, which I hope I can show you my other gal because she's so cute. So the process of hypertrophy, what is that word? That is the growing and changing of the muscle. So hypertrophy just means getting bigger. And that means the muscles are growing in response to the stimulus. So you might say, hey, I don't want to have those big bulky muscles. And that's A-okay, because it would be very difficult for women to get big bulky muscles. Even again with Joan positioned like that, she still had a beautiful shape. Even if you could see the ripples of the muscle, it's because of her strategy in posing as well. So let's talk a little bit about what it looked like with her meal pattern. And this is a little slogan that I used to use, and I still do with my training clients, but train hard, refuel several times a day, and repeat. So train, eat, repeat, and sleep. So it's consistency. And she really believed in using protein drinks. She believed in using supplements. She's got branched chain amino acids there. She's got whey protein powder. And again, a lot of different diet plans or eating styles will be the magic bullet. It just depends on you, and it depends on your eating style and your body makeup. So when we think of the crucial component of tracking what you do. Anybody ever use a tracker? MyFitnessPal? Yeah. So the hardest part with some of these apps is knowing where to start. Sometimes if you put in your height and weight, age, it'll give you an arbitrary calorie level. That can be dangerous. It's really better to work with someone and figure out, what am I eating right now? Because now we want to think of the element of change. If you are eating 1,000 calories now, and some app says that you need to decrease 500 calories, that's a big change. What if you were really eating more calories or less calories than that app tells you? Then you're on the wrong starting point. So knowing what you currently eat is a really important piece of the puzzle. So then you create the calorie deficit from where you are, rather than what some app says, because it might overshoot your starting number. But as a crucial component of achieving your goals and dreams, awareness helps. And it really helps you think clearly about, what am I doing that is creating the current body shape I have now? The other thing that's really important with all these gals is to protect your joints, to be really careful that you don't get an injury that then slows your process down. So, if you haven't exercised in a long time, it wouldn't be a bad idea to meet with a physical therapist and maybe have them help you identify where your range of motion is, maybe what muscles need to be focused on first. Because I can't tell you how often, working for years in the gym setting, people will go in and work too hard and then get injuries, and then you got to sit it out and let that injury heal. We definitely don't want that. So being smart about how you protect yourself so you can gradually increase is super important. And there's that little sweet picture of mother and daughter. She's really lucky, because not only is it her trainer, but it's also a family member. I mean, how lucky is that? But I bet there are sons and daughters, nieces and nephews, even grandchildren that would love to be a role model and somebody to guide. I think it's harder and harder for us to connect with different generations. The fitness and the nutrition industry is on fire. So being able to connect with people in your family, both immediate and extended family, is a great way to connect because they'll have so much great information to share and really want to share it. So now this one is Wendy. She is another amazing story. She had depression. She had a divorce and I think a death in the family. And she, one over here on the right, really what spurred the whole transformation was the abusive relationships in her life, as well as the difficulty with the divorce. And so she decided to just go to the gym. And just like, the one push-up to get started, this little lady didn't really have a plan. She went to the gym, and then she found the support system. She found a trainer, she found classes, she found the network, not only of the support, but of the direct experts that could help her, and realized that it not only transformed her physical body, but it transformed her lease on life, her perspective, and it really helped her feel so much better. So I love that. All of these ladies have that in common, that the fitness component is a joy in and of itself, not just a means to an end, which I thought was really powerful. So here she is. And again, she's 72. I know. She doesn't look 72, and she's still on the internet today. So if you want to check her out, look for Wendy, and gosh, I mean, she just looks amazing still. So born in 1952, empowered by her first visit to the gym and meeting a trainer, poured her energy into physical and mental transformation. And so when you get your heart pumping, your muscles contracting, absorbing and metabolizing fuel, it changes your body. In the session 2 that I visited with you all about the anti-cancer way of life, it was really that social connection, right? And also the wellness plan. So when you realize that you're doing something to help yourself get healthy, help yourself get stronger, it really changes your mindset. And so I hope that that's going to be an inspiration for us all. We don't have to look like that and have a six-pack at 70. So it can always be a gray area. We work towards that and then have a lot of positive self-talk about the things we are doing. And then tracking it to say, okay, am I better today than I was yesterday? Am I eating better? Am I still getting my exercise in? The gym that I work at now, I see folks that have been doing the exact same thing for years and years and years. The good news of that is that they are staying stable, right? That's good. The other part of that is what if? What if they were to challenge their muscles, their brain, their balance, their musculoskeletal system to maybe do a little more? What if? And of course, we want to make sure it's safe, but stepping outside your comfort zone is all about what these ladies have done. So cardio strength and stretching are each important. So how do we do cardio? That is working that heart muscle that we were just in awe of how much it's doing without us even being aware. It does so much work for us without us knowing. But if we were to push it a little bit more and give it a little more challenge, we would see that it is going to respond beautifully for us. And when we use our heart muscle, a lot of things also benefit. For example, our other organs get to have benefit. So when our heartbeat goes up, what happens? Well, we also burn more blood sugar. We like that because it helps the insulin resistance. Remember, I talked about that last week when we were sort of understanding what intermittent fasting meant. We talked about insulin resistance being the danger of all of the metabolic chronic lifestyle conditions that we're stuck with. So could we change that? Yes. Intermittent fasting means having purposeful, on-schedule eating time and also not eating time. Big thing. Another item that I mentioned last week that I think is really important is that exercise and intermittent fasting both do very similar things in that it allows our body to reset. That insulin level for sure. Also, it starts utilizing blood sugar. We don't want the blood sugar to hang around in the bloodstream. I talked about how that has a negative impact on A1C, which is that glycosylated hemoglobin. If you've ever had your A1C checked, we don't want our hemoglobin to get sticky. We don't want it to have a difficult time carrying oxygen to our working muscles. So again, exercise does this. And you don't have to exercise a lot. You don't have to go to the gym for 2 hours every day. But what you do have to do is have a purposeful push. It needs to be harder than normal. And it could be a spurt of a couple of minutes. We still see benefit when it's even that small of amount of time. It can be long duration, moderate intensity. So if you're walking and that's a routine that you're good with, you could find a spot where there's a hill and you could do the hill once. And then maybe next month do the hill twice. And get your body acclimated and then add a change. That's the trick. Consistency and then adding the elements of cardio push. Just like with strength training. The same movement all the time is not bad because it's going to keep you stable. But if we don't add change, it won't change. Good. So these ladies are, again, really fun to watch. They're an inspiration because they started at zero. They started with no fitness experience at all. And they talk about all the different components of their exercise. So warming up your working weight allows you to practice good technique. So, you could use your own body weight as your working weight. You could use a lighter handheld weight and go through a range of motion, get the joints warmed up, get the muscles warmed up, getting the blood flow optimized before you push a little bit harder. So they always talk about the components, whether it's a cardiovascular exercise routine or it's a blend of cardio and strength, or maybe just a yoga class. Anybody been to a yoga class? Yay, good. So you know that even in a yoga class, there's a warm-up, there's a body of the class, and then there's a cool down. So that is a really important sort of way we bookend the piece of the exercise time that's the most challenging. Let the muscles warm up and then let the muscles stretch and relax. And so then you really get the best of the full effect. So intensity and RPE, rate of perceived exertion. This is a really important way to decide how hard are we working. Intensity, we understand that low intensity means easy or easier. High intensity means hard or harder. What I love about RPE, and when I was a personal trainer at Lifetime Fitness, we did testing so people could learn what their rate of perceived exertion is comparing to how hard the heart is working. So it's a really fun thing for you to learn that, okay, I'm walking on a treadmill and I feel like, okay, it's probably medium. It's really hard for people to say, this is hard. They're going to say, well, I don't know, it's okay. But learning how to describe it is really cool. And of course, it becomes subjective. What might be hard for you might be really easy for the next person. So it's all based on your own body response. What's also interesting is, you do a workout on Tuesday and you do the exact same workout on Saturday, and it was so much harder on Saturday than it was on Tuesday. The RPE is good because it helps you understand how hard am I working. Because the trick is to make sure that your exertion is measurable and you're going to an intensity that's medium and then hard and then harder. So you get that level of change so that you're getting the effect of the exercise. If you always made it exactly the same, you always walked the same route and you didn't talk with a friend, so you're just having everything the same, you aren't going to get the body's response that we're looking for. So rate of perceived exertion helps us have a tool to describe how hard am I working on Tuesday at 10 o'clock in this class or in this segment. And what all these ladies talk about is learning that exhaustion is not a bad thing. Just like hungry, we talked about during the intermittent fasting. Hungry is a body cue that's good. That's giving you now these bookends. Okay, we've reached this point where it's hard now. It's hard to not eat that food because I'm feeling hungry and I really want it, body cue. The other component with exercise is if you work this muscle to exhaustion, that means can't quite do that last one. What do you think that's doing to your skeletal muscle? It's saying, hey, we need to get stronger. So working out to exhaustion means that now you refuel and rest and then rebuild. And that's the magic bullet. So you've got to make sure that you work until exhaustion, because that's allowing the muscles to recover in a whole new way. So here she is, beautiful body, 2 world records. She did the 35 burpees, sorry that's misspelled, should have a B in there, 35 burpees in 1 minute, oldest active fitness instructor. Yes, burpees are hard. So again, don't feel like you have to do exactly what she does, but pick something that is hard, just like the push-ups. And if you can't do a whole push-up, start with the knees down. If you can't do a push-up there, do a hold. And so again, if you don't know all those pieces in between, that's where you get somebody to guide you. And the group exercise classes are a great way to do it because an instructor will guide you. And it would be our job as the instructor to give you those steps to move forward. And then start to love the feeling of exhaustion. I know you're saying, Suzanne, you're crazy. Who likes to feel exhausted, right? But it's the blend of warm up, work hard to exhaustion, recover, and now feel better. And that's what we shoot for. So keys to Wendy's success, to taking back her life. Embrace happiness. There you go. So even in the presence of exhaustion, you still feel this joy of accomplishment. Don't dwell on the past or worry about the future. Just live in today. I love that. Strong nutrition, super important. Eating clean foods. And when we compare that idea against Joan's eating plan, where she's got a lot of, powders and potions, you might go, how does that fit? Well, for her, it works. In a minute here, you'll see another gal that is completely vegan. So any eating plan, as long as it's purposeful and planned and measured, you'll see your outcome. And I love here that her workout, again, consistency, form, and intensity are really important. So Wendy's diet, let's look a little deeper into what some of these ladies do. She has just a list of foods that she uses over and over. She has steel-cut oats, chia seeds, raisins, cashews, pickles, ginger tea, avocado, protein drinks, and gluten-free rice cakes. And she says she just buys these foods and that's what she eats over and over. Now, if I were her dietitian, I would say, Wendy, I don't think it's a good idea to eat the same thing over and over for years and years. Right? That would be so boring. Now, I tell you, I've had a lot of clients that say, just tell me what to eat and I will do it, because they don't want to go outside the box and risk losing the consistency, which I get. But with a little know-how, you can substitute some of these foods because you'll know what is a carbohydrate, what's a protein, and what's a fat. Remember, every food we eat has to fall in that category. And then you can get similar foods that could plug in this or that. So instead of organic steel-cut oats, what could she have instead? Maybe some organic bread. She could have other carbohydrates. So it could be a sweet potato. It could be another kind of hot cereal. It could be quinoa or lentils. So something that organic steel-cut oats tell us is that it's a protein-rich grain. It's got fiber in it, and it's a real food. It's not something that you open the package, put into a bowl, add hot water, stir, and put it in the microwave. Right? You're like, oh, are you talking about my breakfast right now? Chia seeds. Well, if you've talked to me more than 5 minutes, seeds are the powerhouse of nature's fuel sources. So if you don't like chia seeds, you could put hemp seeds, you could put pumpkin seeds, any seed. Really good choice. Raisins. Well, I happen to love organic dried cherries. Such a great way to get your vitamins and your fiber and a good little bit of sweetness, which is so nice to have. Anybody a fan of cashews? Yes. And if you love cashews, have you ever made a cashew cream sauce? No? Okay, some yeses. Such an amazing way to use cashews. Boil them for, 20 minutes or let them soak overnight. Drain the fluid, but keep it. Put those softened cashews into a food processor. Splash in a little bit of that water that you reserved. Process it up. Add some salt. Maybe add some turmeric. Maybe some nutritional yeast. Taste it. See if you like it. Adjust your flavors. That is the most amazing sauce. It makes a mac and cheese that's dairy-free, and it's loaded with nutrition from the cashew. So again, lots of ways to play with these foods. I love that she added pickles. That's kind of her salty. Ginger tea is amazing. Avocado. What do we love about avocado? I know, it's a good fat. Yes, good fat. And it's a whole fat, just the way nature made it. It has not been processed. That's why I'm not a fan of avocado oil. There's no way you could convince me that avocado oil is any better than the avocado. And when we deal with what oil would be the best, well, you might as well do an olive oil because you're not likely to eat a lot of fresh olives like you are a lot of fresh avocado. Okay? Protein drinks, again, you can pick or choose this. A lot of these ladies do use it. And I think the reason is it's hard for us women to get enough protein and not overdo calories. Because every time you eat a piece of animal protein, guess what comes with it? Fat, right? So every time you eat steak or chicken or any kind of beef or any kind of ground meat, you always get fat that goes with it. And you might say, yeah, well, I get a steak, but I cut all the fat off. That's a good start, but it's still all integrated into the flesh of the protein, which again isn't a bad thing, especially if you're a big guy and you need lots of calories. But usually for women, it's a little tougher to stay in your calorie target and still get your gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if I need to eat 100 grams of protein, it's a little easier to supplement my protein with a protein drink. Now, could I do it with Greek yogurt? Absolutely. Ounce for ounce, a cup of Greek yogurt has about 15 grams, maybe even more, of protein and no sugar. It'll have some calories, right? And it'll have some lactose from the yogurt component, but that's still a good thing. Or I could use a protein powder, but of course I'd have to mix the protein powder with something, right? So again, there's lots of ways to accomplish your goal. And it's just got to work for you. You might say, protein drink is great for me. I can just grab and go. And if that works for you, then that's a great thing. And again, tracking it helps you then analyze, is what I'm doing getting me to my goal? And so anything gluten-free is risky. You all know when I used to run Powerhouse Bakery, I opened the bakery because 99.9% of the gluten-free products on the market are not nutrient rich. They're free of gluten, but also free of good nutrition. So you got to be really careful. If you have celiac, then we definitely want to look at ways to switch out your alternative grains so you don't get the gluten. So positive mindset, make time for fitness, and nutrition on purpose. I love her phrasing of nutrition on purpose. It just means that you make it a priority. And so when we had the Slim Down Showdown crew, basically it was 10 to 15 people that were all around the country. It started out with just the HEB employees, and it was so successful, we opened it up to, to Texas. And people could apply, and we took them through cooking class. We took them through anthropometric data, which meant we measured their body composition. We measured all kinds of tools like their basal metabolic rate. So all this great stuff. And we even helped them work out. So we taught them how to do it. And the positive mindset was truly a part of the program. And they did tracking, but they also went on social media and they shared their story just like these ladies do on YouTube and Instagram. But as soon as the hype starts to cool down, There wasn't this intrinsic motivation that kept them going. And that's something that takes a lot of constant feedback. And so having a circle of friends, having people around you that have this as a priority is so important. Because if you go back to your own lifestyle and nobody is in supportive of this, it makes it really tough to keep going. So here is Chef Babette. She is another really fun lady. Let me get out of the way for a second here. She is again 72. She shares her secret on how to reverse aging and lose weight. And she did this, I think, starting in 2012. So she's been around for a while. And again, she's still on social media. She's completely plant-based. She ended up opening a restaurant because people loved following her. Just such a flamboyant personality and only eats plants. So here's an example of doing it, right? Eating plenty of protein to support her goals and not having to eat anything from an animal. Now, she also believed that every meal needs some raw veggies, which I love. I think that's such a smart thing because it forces you to think about, okay, where's my veggies? Where's my whole fruit? So going back to the idea of eating more whole food is really smart. And she exemplifies this, way back when she started. So I think it's a great perspective too of when you're planning your meals. What could you have as your raw? Well, you could have salsa. You could have, of course, the avocado. What else could we throw into something that it's automatically eaten raw? Fruit, apple slices. You could do so many neat things. One of our dishes at Powerhouse Bakery was a spaghetti squash, or the real deal. So spaghetti squash, if you've ever had it, you bake this big yellow squash, you cut it, and you can pull out the seeds, and then you shred the squash. It's so good. Yes. And so with that spaghetti squash, that's a cooked veggie, but we folded in arugula, fresh sliced tomatoes, and it was so good to add some raw in with the cooked spaghetti squash. Another dish we had that was super popular, we called it the real deal, and it was spaghetti with meat sauce. But we borrowed that idea from the spaghetti squash dish, and we mixed in baby spinach into the spaghetti. So it was fresh, it wasn't cooked, but we folded it in, and when the customer heated it up, it kind of softened the spinach, but it was like having your veggie and your pasta all mixed together, and it was so good because the spinach was still crunchy. And so some fresh in with a hot dish could still be a great way to add your raw every time. Another way to add raw would be adding your whole nuts. So some raw almonds to a salad, to a rice dish, or even to a casserole style. Having raw nuts gives you the nutrients that haven't been roasted out or cooked out. So it's a really good thing. And so know the benefits of going vegan and really being creative. You don't have to push your family to do this, but of course it is so much easier if everybody's kind of on the same page with wanting to try new things. It always makes me sad when the patients that are going through cancer treatment are, their family hasn't quite bought into supporting them. They think it won't really matter if they bring in the, Domino's pizza or the, double Whoppers, and it affects their sense of smell and taste, and it's hard to be around that. But, if you really share with your family how important this is, there's a good chance they'll really try to support you and go along with it. So, really what we want to think of is building strong bones as we're doing this whole process, because truly we get so much benefit from the cardiovascular training, the muscular training, and then of course the second and third benefits are all the other organs wrapped around that. So getting to have strong bones because of the challenge that we place on it makes it a huge benefit in your overall functioning. And on a side to this, I think I shared with you, I started teaching reformer Pilates, and it's really fun to see stories of individuals that have done a bone density measurement, and in the beginning of their practice, just starting out, they might have had osteopenia, But after 6 months to a year of even just Pilates, they see an improvement in their bone density. So there's so many different styles of exercise. Don't let your doctors or anybody tell you that you have to do a certain kind of exercise. It's very subjective. So just like the rate of perceived exertion, any class you take can be easy, medium, or hard based on where you start. And then adding little challenges as you go through is so key in getting that bone to get stronger, getting the muscles to get stronger, and of course your heart muscle to get stronger. So there you have it. I hope you've been inspired. And if you can stay for a minute, I'll show you the little lady that she had cancer, and I'll just give you a quick little summary of it for those of you that aren't here with us today. But this lady was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she was active, but not really a gym rat, she called herself. And she was diagnosed with cancer and thought that was the end of it. She was just going to have to succumb to this terrible disease. But she decided that she wanted to give exercise a try. So she was really inspired by another lady that she met. And so she started going to the gym and doing small exercises right after her treatment had completed. And now she does bodybuilding competitions, and she's in her early 70s. And so she's still on YouTube today, sharing her workout style. So the similar process you'll see every time. They're consistent. They challenge the muscles to exertion. They have a purpose-driven nutrition plan, and they have a good support system. So I hope that you can find that. So whether you've had cancer or you have family or friends that have never had cancer but want to group with you and try this endeavor, start small. You could do a walking program that would allow you to have some flat road with a hill. Start with 10 minutes, and then each week add a little on, just like the video that we saw in the beginning where she started with 1 push-up. And again, you could even do half a push-up. So a little bit of muscle change, guess what that does to your brain power? That gives you confidence and assurance that with consistency, you will see change. So I hope that will inspire you all. And again, if you ever want me to help you with putting together some kind of plan, I would love to do that. And any fitness center will have a trainer that will guide you on that process. But remember that the wonderful classes that we have at ThriveWell are so good because they know exactly your history, and they're trained to make sure that you are on a plan that keeps your joints safe and helps you to progress in a safe way. So just be consistent and have some fun with it. All right, thank you so much.